Hey everyone, good to see you guys here today. Today we're going to be diving into a super important topic for anyone doing business in Singapore, and that is how to understand Singaporean business culture or understanding it. Uh, it's like unlocking like secret codes of successful interactions in this amazing country. Seriously, they're a bit different than we are, but overall, great people to do business with. We already have a great business relationship with them as a country. Um, so here we go. So, individualism, collectivism. Let's talk about it. In Singapore, it's all about teamwork and group harmony. For example, when negotiating deals, building personal relationships with stakeholders is often more important than just pushing your own agenda. It's like saying teamwork makes the dream work, essentially. Um, in contrast to Singapore's collectivist orientation, the United States has a much larger emphasis on the individual or individualism. American culture, as we know, values personal autonomy, initiative, achievement, which shapes the dynamic of business communication there. While, like I said, Singapore values the exact opposite. So when you do business in Singapore, remember to prioritize not just your own interests, but the interests of the entire group. Try to foster some collaboration there. Next. All right, implicit communication norms. So imagine you're at a business meeting in Singapore. Sure, there are explicit rules to follow. Like exchanging business cards with both hands and addressing individuals by their professional titles. But in Singapore, a lot of the communication happens kind of between the lines. And what I mean by that, let's say you're negotiating a deal with your counterpart and they nod slightly during the discussion. It might not be spoken, but that nod could signal agreement or understanding in Singapore. So being able to pick up on these little nuances and subtle cues can really make or break a deal. So keep an eye out for those nonverbal cues like body language and facial expressions. Try to understand the true meaning of what's being spoken or done. Next, time orientation, negotiation strats. Picture this. You're gearing up for a meeting in Singapore. Punctuality is key, like showing up for a coffee date. Tardiness is perceived as disrespectful in Singapore. Do not be late. Pretty sure it's the same here. Now, outside of formal business context, it's a much more relaxed attitude. Singaporeans place a greater emphasis on personal relationships and social connections. They love friendship. Shocker. Understanding these nuances is crucial for effective time management. It can help us when it comes to building relationships when in Singapore. So when it comes to negotiations, Singaporeans balance the short term and the long term. We're not just looking at what can I get immediately. It's what can I get down the road as well. So remember to respect Singaporean business culture by prioritizing punctuality and considering the long-term implications of negotiations. All right, indirect communication, relationship building. Direct confrontation and disagreement is avoided in Singapore. It can cause loss of face and damage relationships. So unless you really, really, really know that person and have that trust and rapport with them, be careful about doing this. So let's say, for example, you're at a meeting and someone brings up a sensitive topic. Instead of jumping right in, Singaporeans usually take like a more indirect approach, like sharing stories or anecdotes. It's all about, like I said, building the trust and rapport before getting into the nitty gritty and stuff like that. Kind of how you'd ease into a deep conversation with a close friend. So when you take the time to establish personal connections and you show interest in other people, you can strengthen your relationship with them, which only makes your work environment more positive. So, yes. Now, power distance. Stick with me, y'all. We're almost done. Power distance and organizational structure. So imagine you're part of a team in Singapore. Even though there might be a boss in the room, the culture encourages open dialogue and idea sharing at all levels. Hierarchical structures, like in America, in our corporations and businesses, there's still that CEO and then all the way down the ladder, all the way down to interns and stuff like that. They still have that in Singapore, but it's like kind of like having a family dinner where everyone gets a say in what's on the menu. So they value everyone's input, everyone's opinion. So when we promote a culture of inclusivity and empowerment, Singaporean businesses can harness the diverse perspectives and talents of their employees, and they use that to drive innovation, to drive success. So remember that when you're in Singapore. All right, what are we looking at here? Here we are looking at a United States and Singapore trade relationship in 2023. What we're seeing right now is the trade in goods with Singapore for the year of 2023. As we can see, a lot of green on this chart. What I mean by that is positive balance in trade. So overall, the United States exported around $42.4 billion worth of goods to Singapore, and they imported about around $40 billion worth of goods, which that's going to indicate a positive balance in trade. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Oops. Now, this positive balance, what we notice with this is that it highlights the strength of trade ties between these two countries and the attractiveness of each other's markets. So, despite these minor fluctuations in monthly exports and imports, the consistent exchange of goods underscores the stability and reliability of the bilateral trade relationship between these two countries. With Singapore's strategic location, advanced infrastructure, their business-friendly environment, it's naturally going to be an attractive market for the United States exporters. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this mutually beneficial trade relationship contributes to the economic prosperity of both countries. It underscores the importance of cooperation. So, in conclusion, understanding Singaporean business culture is like having the insider's guide to success when you're in Singapore. When you embrace teamwork, pick up on those subtle cues, balance short-term wins with the long-term goals, you can navigate the Singaporean business landscape like a pro. With these insights, we're ready to build strong relationships and we can achieve our business goals in Singapore. Thank you, guys.